I've been building an online software company for the past 3 years. What if it doesn't work? I've been putting a bunch of resources into a new marketing strategy and doubling down on a bunch of things. And what if it doesn't work? This is a question that anybody in business will have, but also people who want to start businesses and things like that. Like, what if it doesn't work? What if I don't get the outcome that I want? What if I fail? I wanted to share my view on this because basically I'm making a lot of decisions now, and any decision in business is always a gamble. It's always, what if it doesn't work, you know? I wanted to share my frame of thought around this just because I think it served me, and maybe it might serve somebody else. But the main one is just that it's important to ask the question, like, what doesn't work? Because something only doesn't work if you stop trying. What's my criteria for what if this business doesn't work? Because the reality is I almost bankrupted it twice in the first year. And I'm here 3 years later, and it's provided a good quality of life, and I have a team, and I would say that it's worked. I can say that much. But at the same time, when I bankrupted it almost, basically I ran out of money. It's not a big deal, at least for me at the time. Would I say then in that situation that it hadn't worked? There was never a thought process where I sat down and said, oh, what if it doesn't work? Then I'm going to go do something else. It really just comes down to how stubborn you are to make the thing work, which I think is, why everybody says, oh, persistence is really it. Because at the end of the day, persistence is the answer to what if it doesn't work? In my situation, there was no situation in which it didn't work because I would just keep doing it. My mind didn't go past the thought of what if it doesn't work? That just wasn't a consideration in the first place, because it was well, I'll do it until it does work. And it's the same with this marketing stuff. This marketing stuff that I'm doing now, what if it doesn't work? Well, I'll do the next thing. In the context of maybe a small thing that you're experimenting with, you lose the battle, but you win the war. You might lose in that very specific situation, but I think the question, what if it doesn't work, is a useful framework for making certain decisions. So for example, there's an opportunity right now which is going to cost me X amount of dollars, which is a pretty sizable chunk. What if this thing doesn't work? Well, I lose the money and I learn a lesson. That's pretty much it. That's how I work in my mind. I lose the money and I gain some kind of lesson about these types of products or something like that. That's really it. That's as far as it goes. What if it doesn't work? That's it. You learn something and you pay a little bit. And obviously in different situations, the consequences can be more drastic. So you never get a perfect answer to the question. You never get 100% yes, this is going to work. There's always a probability of failure, and that's just the game of business. What if it doesn't work will happen all the time. That what if it doesn't work, you will go through that because there will be a lot of things that don't work. It's worthwhile to decide what should you be stubborn on and what you shouldn't. Push or pivot. This is a classical question. I think if there's one thing that business has taught me is that for the most part, life is a game of managing dichotomies rather than solving problems. It's not one thing has the answer and then if it fails, that's failure. It's more so that should you push or pivot? It's a tightrope that you walk and you're in the middle, and both answers are correct and equally true, but equally opposite. What I mean by that is, what if this online software company doesn't work? Do I push or pivot? That's really the question that it comes down to if it doesn't work. Do you push or do you pivot? It's not a question, oh, if it doesn't work, do I give up? You either change strategy, so pivot, do something else, or you push and you go through. In my situation, 2 years ago, almost bankrupted, whatever, almost failed, I decided to push. But there have been other situations, for example, if I make this investment into my marketing and it fails, I might want to pivot. I might not want to push because I learned that lesson. But at the same time, sometimes it takes several investments for something to get working. So it's push or pivot, quantity or quality. There are a lot of dichotomies which are both true, and you have to kind of walk this tightrope, and there's no perfect answer. That's usually the question that it gets down to when you ask, what if this doesn't work? You find yourself in a situation where you have to walk one of these tightropes, and you have to walk these all the time in business and in general. These thoughts are a little scattered and all over the place, but what if this fails is a big question that a lot of people ask themselves. And the reality is, I think if you actually sit through the situation, you might see that A, it's not that bad. B, you need to be okay with what if it doesn't work. You need to be okay with that situation all the time. What if this business fails? If this business fails, I could go and live a really simple life, do some kind of basic job for a while, and I'd probably end up starting another business because I'm bored. And so as soon as I was okay with that situation, my risk tolerance increases massively because I'm okay with what if it fails. I can deal with that. And so this lets me play in high risk. I think that question is worth asking. It's worth answering as well, not avoiding. And in business, you're always walking tightropes. There's never a right answer. What if it does fail? There's always more than one option that you can follow through with. These are my thoughts around this kind of thing right now. It's a little bit all over the place, but I think these are the reflections of any founder, really, who's been at it for a while. I'm going to leave it at that. I'll answer any questions in the comments.